To make this setup easier, I'm going to break down the setup into 5 different parts. The first one is to install all the pre-required packages. For that, I have given the list of packages that we are going to use in this particular notebook. Make sure you install this quick install command to install all these packages. I have already done it, so I'm going to skip this step. So the second step is to install MLflow. To do that, go to the terminal and then run the following command. MLflow Server --host the IP --port, the port at which you want to run the MLflow server. In this case, I'm running it at 5000. You can even use the command MLflow UI to start the MLflow server. Once you see this application startup complete, the MLflow server is up. To test this, let's go to the browser and let's navigate to the URL localhost:5000. You should be able to see the MLflow UI here. As the third step, let's go ahead and set up the OpenAI keys. To do that, we have .env file created in the same directory as the notebook. Open that file and remove this placeholder and paste your OpenAI keys here. Okay, the third step is to run all the imports and making sure that your environment is set up correctly. To do that, run the cell and you should be able to see if you are able to load all the packages and load the environment without any errors. The fourth step is to set up a couple of configuration variables. These are the important variables that we need to set before running the experiment. As we discussed in the previous video, we're going to run this experiment with various models at different reasoning levels. In order to facilitate that, we have these variables set in our notebook. So the first one is ML for tracking URI, basically the URL at which your MLflow is running. In my case, it's localhost 5000. The model name we should wish to experiment. It can be GPT-5 or GPT-5 mini or GPT-5 nano. The reasoning level, low, medium, or high. And the experiment name, basically, this is the name which appears in the MLflow UI here, as we see, right? But people GPT-5 baseline. And other two variables are related to the prompt. Basically, we are going to make in different prompts. So this denotes which prompt that we are going to use for the invoice extraction task. So make sure you set these variables accordingly and then initialize it. Okay, the fifth and the final step is to set up the OpenAI client. Basically, we are going to use the OpenAI Python SDK to make these API calls. And to do that, we want to initialize the OpenAI client. It gives you an error about API key here. Make sure you have set up your API clean.env file. And then set up a couple of variables. And this is where the magic happens. So the MLflow.openai.autolog. The autologging is a very, very cool feature in MLflow, which basically tracks all the information that you need. Then when you are making a couple of API calls to OpenAI, it tracks the request, the response that will be taken for this particular process, and a lot of information. So it basically simplifies all your process of tracing these OpenAI calls to see what is the whether we were able to successfully extracted, whether there was an error, and it kind of simplifies all the process by just adding one particular line. So as we are using the OpenAI Python SDK, I have initialized OpenAI.autolog. Let's just initialize it and we are good to. So by end of this particular step, all the configurations, MLflow, OpenAI environment is all set. Before we move on with the prompt management workflow, let's spend a minute to understand the dataset. So we are going to use the consolidated receipt dataset, which contains 1000 invoice samples along with the ground truth. So this dataset is available in new faces vary. There are 1000 samples between 80, 100, and 100. We are going to use the test samples. This is the 100 samples, which contains the invoice image, and it has spanning ground truth information as well. So the schema for this particular dataset is available in this GitHub repository, where it contains all the fields, the category, the subclasses as well. For instance, the menu. Then we have a couple of keys like what is the name of the dish, what is the unit price, how much, what is the quantity, so on and so forth. We also have a couple of other categories such as subtotal and total, which talks about the price information as well. So the objective for us is to take all these invoices and extract this information, which is specified in this particular schema, and then match this information against the ground truth, and we are going to see how well these particular models are going to perform with various reasoning elements. As the next step, let's go ahead and write a simple prompt to start the key baseline process.